Could we have Danny Joseph please join us on stage? Danny?
Danny is Hum Joseph's son. In 1950, Hum Joseph's Aunt Debbie was in a car being driven from a Springfield, Massachusetts holiday to her home in Bridgewater when she saw a ball field in St. John. "Go there," she said, "Hum play." To no avail, her driver tried to explain that Hum didn't play in every baseball diamond in North America. But she wouldn't be dissuaded. Finally, in frustration, they got off the highway, drove up to the park, and sure enough, they watched Hum Joseph hit a double to drive in the winning run for the St. John Dodgers. Hum, Gordy Mont, Sonny McDonald, and Art Dorrington had joined the team a few weeks before. The St. John Dodgers were one of 15 teams for which he was to play over 3 decades. Before his health failed, Hum acted as chauffeur to the Honorable Ron Giffen, the Minister of Education. Giffen was once asked if he was the guy that Hum Joseph was driving around. And if so, did he think he could get Hum's autograph? Mr. Giffen still laughs when he tells of the relatively large crowds which used to gather around Hum everywhere in the province when compared to the smaller group interested in talking to him. The popular aura which was Hum Joseph developed from the intimate relationship he had with maritime baseball fans over 4 decades. Hum started with the Halifax Navy team in 1940 and then played for the Truro Bearcats, Amherst St. Pat's, Halifax Shipyards, St. John Dodgers, Halifax Capitals, Stelton Albions, Fredericton Caps, Spring Hill Fencebusters, Londonderry Ironclads, Bible Hill Dairymen, Halifax Cardinals, Dartmouth Arrows, Hanstport Shamrocks, and the Canning Habs. This jumping around came because in these days of little money, these semi-pro teams would outbid their rivals on one player, realizing they were losing players through the same process. Players were coming in one gate, going out the other. Hum was particularly attractive because of his rapport with the fans, who would come out in droves if he was in the park. Hum was a Phil Rizzuto type infielder, Yogi Berra type batter, and that is to say, he was an adequate batter at the worst of times, but he was an excellent batter when the going got tough and men were on base. In the 7th inning of the 1945 Nova Scotia Championships, 3,500 Spring Hill fans groaned as he doubled off the great Len Boss to tie the game for his Halifax Shipyards. He was playing with the likes of the great locals Jimmy Gray, Vince Ferguson, against the likes of Lawson Fowler, Buddy Conde, Herbie McLeod. Spring Hill did go on to win the game 4-3. 1946 was the best of Hum's career. He joined the Hall of Famers, the Truro Bearcats, under player coach Sonny McDonald. He was joined by Johnny Clark, Skid Ferguson, Al Connick, Billy McIntyre, Win Langell, Carl Matheson, Gordy Mont, Clyde Roy, Lou Medinsky, and Cliff Roach. Despite losing players to suspensions, the Bearcats swept aside Kentville, Yarmouth, Stellarton, the Halifax Shipyards, and the Middleton Cardinals to win the Nova Scotia Championships. In '47, strengthened by the addition of Spring Hill's Len and Hilton Boss, the New Waterford's Charlie Pyle, the Bearcats, aided by Hum Joseph's .306 batting average, beat the likes of the import-laden Stellarton Albions and the Windsor Maple Leafs in the Central League to face the heavily favored Kentville Wildcats of the H&D League in the championship playoffs. Truro won. In 1960, he was in a batting duel with Hanstport Shamrock coach Jimmy Beckman in the playoffs. Hum put Beckman away when midway through the series, he hit safely 12 times in 12 times at bat. In '61, he joined the Beckman coach Shamrocks, who won the Maritime Championship, beating Sonny McDonald's St. Peter's team. '61 and '62, he played first base for the Hanstport Shamrocks and Dartmouth Arrows, both winners of Maritime titles. In '67, he was player coach for the Hanstport Shamrocks. They too won the Maritimes. For those of you who didn't know him, Hum has been described as talented, cocky, enthusiastic, chippy, temperamental, fiery, and unpredictable. He was certainly loud. He never entered Jack Ryan's grocery in Truro without hollering at the top of his lungs, "Is this a Dominion store?" Hum Joseph was not a placid man. While in his 40s, he cold-cocked a guy who was giving his team a hard time in a Yarmouth pizza house. He certainly was not unfeeling about baseball. He once turned his car around halfway to New Brunswick for a family vacation because he heard on the radio that Ty Cobb had died. At times he showed amazing control of his emotions. In '58, Halifax had traveled to Londonderry to play the Ironclads. Hum's son Danny, who is sitting here, 9 years old at the time, was razzing the Halifax pitcher. As the pitcher came off the field, he cuffed Danny on the back of the head. Much to everyone's surprise, Hum did nothing. He then went on to the bottom of the 10th inning, hit a home run to win the provincial championship. He later admitted that he had done nothing because he felt Danny was getting old enough to worry about defending his own actions. Hum's coach, Sonny McDonald, said if the game was close, Hum always piped in jokingly, "Let me hit." Didn't matter to Hum whether it was his turn or not. As he grew older, Hum began coaching himself. He coached many outstanding players, including Frank Bartow, now a Cumberland County superintendent, and Johnny Graham, who was part of the Chicago bullpen in the major leagues for a while. He teaches at tons. Hum's instructions were always simple. Play hard and get your uniform dirty. One major problem he had from coaching was his opinion that his players didn't often measure up to Hum's own abilities, nor his own winning attitude. In Sydney, while coaching the Hanstport Shamrocks with bases loaded, Hum hollered, "Time out, Joseph pinch hitting." At which point he put himself in the pinch hit for one of the best hitters on his team, Pete Gauscher. It turned out to be his very last trip to the plate. The paunchy, out-of-shape, 5'8" Hum Joseph hit a grand slam home run over the left field fence on the very first pitch to bow out as only Hum Joseph could bow out. He was a baseball luminary. In '62, when he realized his playing abilities were starting to slip, he jumped into his mini minor and drove to umpire school in Daytona, Florida. His older brother, Kamal, was an excellent official, as were his brothers Bam and his paraplegic brother Alec, who used to do it all while supporting himself on braces. When Danny Joseph was a teenager, he once went to see the Boston Red Sox play at Fenway Park. While standing in a hot dog line, he was approached by a stranger who asked him if he was a Joseph from Truro. He felt famous. Perhaps it would be more accurate to say that the whole Joseph clan were baseball luminaries. Sometimes it seems they all wanted to get into the act. Kamal once threw Hum out of an H&D game on the Wanderers grounds. To the absolute delight of the 3,000 fans in attendance, his 4'10" mother came out of the stands and slapped Camel right across the face. At any rate, Hum did go on to become one of the more popular umpires in both baseball and softball for another 16 years. Hum umped everything from recreational ball to Canada Summer Games and the Canadian Senior A Championships. Some would say that his flamboyant personality was more at home in an umpire uniform than it was in that of a player. In a Brookfield Elks Dairy Queen softball game one night, Cecil Jackson protested a call third strike by throwing his bat in the air. Hum, once again showing that he could control himself at times, turned to Cecil and said calmly, "If that bat comes down, you're out." The word was around that Hum's love of the Truro Raceway may have produced calls which were aimed at shortening the game on nights when the harness horses were running. In one Truro intermediate softball game, Billy Bell, on a 3-2 count, fouled off 6 straight balls. The fans began looking at their watches and laughing. Hum said, "You foul off one more, I'm calling you out." Naturally, an argument ensued. Next pitch came in 8 feet high. Hum called strike 3, threw his gear in a trunk, and was on his way to the raceway before Billy Bell knew the game was over. It's rumored that Truro area batters are notoriously bad ball hitters. When the games were serious, so was Hum. He was good enough to be elected umpire-in-chief of Nova Scotia in the early 70s. We're all sad that Hum's not here to receive this accolade tonight. On the other hand, Hum doesn't seem to have been all that overawed by awards. In the 1948 midseason Rainbow Haven All-Star game between the Central League All-Stars and the H&D All-Stars, Hitting against Skip Ferguson and playing against future Boston Red Sox slugger Dick Gernert, Hum stepped up, his team behind by 2 runs. He hit a single to drive in the tying run. 5,000 people at the Wanderers grounds cheered as Hum was awarded the mayor's ring, which he promptly lost before most of his friends even got a look at it. Some say it went to one of the thousands of widows around the province who always seem to come out to say hello to Hum at away games. In 1980, the province of Nova Scotia gave him an award of recognition for many years of dedicated service to the sports of softball and baseball. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we add one more accolade to those which contribute to the legend of Hum Joseph. Hum Joseph helped the 1940 Halifax Navy, the 1946 Truro Bearcats, the 1961 and 67 Hanstport Shamrocks win provincial senior A titles. He's one of only 4 men who can claim 4 such titles, having played for 4 different teams. A little story perhaps might say more about Hum Joseph than everything else we've said tonight. Seems Anne Murray's brothers, Danny, Harold, and David, all played for Hum. When Anne Murray's father, Dr. Carson Murray, died, both Glenn Campbell and Kenny Rogers attended the funeral. During the post-funeral get-together back at the Spring Hill homestead, the people were all discussing the only 2 allowable topics in Spring Hill, mine disasters and baseball, when Bam and Hum came in late. Kenny Rogers walked over to Hum and said, "Hum Joseph, you must be the guy we were all just talking about." Hum said, "Yeah, probably." "Who the hell are you?" This slide shows Hum with the great Ted Williams, or as Hum and us Blue Nosers would put it, Ted what's his name, the other fella in the great Hum Joseph. Harry Fleming in a Hum Joseph eulogy delivered on November 25th last year, speaking of the 1946 Truro Bearcats, said, "Hum Joseph wasn't the best player they had. Skip Ferguson, Johnny Clark were better ball players, but nobody tried harder and nobody got his uniform dirtier. If you needed a clutch hit, bunt, a stolen base, or a hit behind the runner, Hum was your man." When the Honorable Ron Giffen was asked to say a few words at the party thrown for his retirement from cabinet, he thanked the 4 people who had the most profound effect on his life. One of them was Hum Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, our 5th inductee to the Nova Scotia Sport Heritage Center Hall of Fame tonight, one of the few people in the world who treated everyone exactly the same. If there's one thing that kept coming up through all of the contacts made in preparing this presentation, it was that nobody made a better friend. Mr. Ismet R. Hum Joseph.
He can hear it now. I'd ask Dave Randall, the new chairman of the selection committee for the Fundy region, to please join us to make a presentation to Danny Joseph. Before we get into a little conversation, Danny, I have a couple of telegrams I'd like to read, share them with our audience tonight. From Miami, he's my brother and I'm proud as hell. Sorry I couldn't make it. Hurricane Andrew has given me and my family major problems, and I have been ill, but I feel good today. Hum and Kemmel are together and are with us in spirit. And that's signed Sheeb. That's Hum's brother, Sheeb, in Miami. When Charlie called me and told me about this honor, which was going to be bestowed upon Hum Joseph, I was so pleased. I met him in Daytona Beach when he was in umpire school. This is a well-deserved honor for him, and I'm sure it will make his children proud. Hum, I never made it to the Hall of Fame, but I'm sure proud that you did. And that's from Frank Umont, American League umpire, retired. And we are so proud that the Sports Heritage Center is honoring Hum Joseph for his lifetime devotion to the sport of baseball and what it stands for: unity, fellowship, professionalism, sportsmanship, and family. For this, we feel that this honor is not only going to Hum, but also to his son Daniel for his devoted efforts to make this day possible, as well as his carrying on the Joseph name in the sport of baseball. Way to go, Hum and Danny. Let's play ball. Your cousins, Charlie and Gail. Question: did your grandmother really put the slug on Kimmel?
I think so.
She actually came out of the stands and did that, eh?
She hit him. She hit him. She was tough.
Sandy mentioned, unfortunately, he's not able to be with us tonight. He was with us, as a matter of fact, just this time a year ago.
That's right. He was here particularly to pay homage to Sonny McDonald. Sonny and he had gone back a long time. And if I can make one comment, Pat, this, he might not be here right now, but you can be damn well sure that him and the Foch and Kamal are fighting right now.
For the front pew, I think they got a big screen up there.
Yeah, they do. They do.
What do you remember most about your dad?
Going everywhere and somebody knowing him. Everywhere I went, everywhere, small town, big town, wherever, somebody knew him through baseball.
Those stories that Sandy told were not made up. They were for real.
Yeah, time has a way of making things a little bit of a legend, but most of them were real.
Danny, congratulations. Very best. Danny Joseph.